Welcome back to Andertons TV.
Hello, hello.
The wonderful Digital John is in the house with us.
Digital John.
Because it is a new piece of hardware day for Neural. And when these guys drop something new, the world goes mad like they did when they did the John Mayer plugin and all that kind of stuff. So, thank you for that amazing piece of playing at the beginning.
Thank you.
The thing with the freeze was fabulous.
Very underused. People should use it more.
Yeah, and everything you heard, by the way, in that intro section, the freeze effect, the looper, all the sounds, everything, this DI'd straight into our interface. Very, very cool. This is actually quite a simple product explanation, right? Because this is almost, I think, what people maybe thought Nano was going to be.
Yeah, I guess,
but this is Quad Cortex Mini. It's announced today. It's well done, Neural. They've managed to get stock into the key Neural dealers, so you can grab one today if you want one. Links below. And it's essentially everything that's in the big Quad Cortex, so the same processor, the same screen, just in a much more compact pedal.
Yeah, Mini.
So all you're really losing on Mini compared to full size are some of the buttons. I was just in my head, I was trying to work out how many of the buttons do you lose. The big one's got,
I think 10? Off the top of my head you have 11 because there's like a,
that's right.
Yeah, a tuner.
So you have 4 buttons instead of 11, and you have slightly less ins and outs, although one would argue you have all the essential ins and outs on this one, and then the bigger one has some more complex user case kind of ins and outs.
Yeah.
Literally, it's the same processor and the same screen. So anything the big one can do in terms of the processing side of things, the little one can do.
Yeah, same fidelity, same quality, same everything. Yeah.
So that's where it's very different, whereas Nano was a much reduced feature set.
Yeah.
This is the same. You can capture on this, you can share, you can access the cloud. I think one of the huge things for this is going to be is existing Quad Cortex users who are maybe going, you know what, I use this thing so much, I'm so reliant on it, I'm gigging with it, I'm using it in the studio, everything. Actually having a second, a second one, but with one user account.
Yeah.
So anything you do on your user account
just boop,
is on both of them wirelessly.
I mean, perks of the job. I've got a couple quad Cortexes at this point, and I'm excited by this because I will still get tons of use out of it. You know, I took it down here, and it's very portable. Like Max, our guy who does quite a lot of this with me, he often says to people, when you carry a QC about in a bag, that's what's in the bag, and you can't really put much else in there. But this is so small, you know, it's about the size of a Switch for you gamers out there. Really, it really is small. If you put an iPhone next to it, it's like, wow, it's really not that big. But yeah, with all the quality, as Lee was saying, there's some less, you know, live-friendly routing if you're the type of player that runs, you know, to cabs, and you can even do all of that. But if you want to run to various different things at once, like you do with QC, you may run into some roadblocks. But as Lee said, you've got all the main outputs and inputs.
We'll put that on screen now. So we'll put a picture of the ins and outs on the big one and the ins and outs on the smaller one, and that you can make a decision. It's really, again, I was talking to John before we did this video about, so what's the approach here? Because there's no point us going through this, showing you how the sounds are, how you create a patch, because those videos for the bigger quad Cortex are all relevant, right? They're just the same. So I was kind of thinking a lot of this, and I'd love for you guys to comment with questions or your thoughts in the comment section, and I'll try and engage with those as well. Okay, I haven't told you how much it is yet, right? So it's obviously much closer to the price of the big quad Cortex than it is to say Nano. So this is going to be about £1,100. So it's about £350 less than the big one in the UK. I think there'll be 2 or 3 kinds of purchaser for this. There'll be somebody who's never owned a quad Cortex before, and they'll be going, oh, that's it, and they might choose the smaller format over the bigger one. I think a big market will be people who've already got a quad Cortex, and as I say, use it so much they like the smaller one. And then I wonder if there will just be people who've got the Nano that are thinking they bought it and they think, oh, I just want to sort of upgrade. But so I think there's lots of use cases.
I think the main demographic for this will be the guys and girls who are at their desktop computers. You know, they use all the plugins already, but they want a unit that can have all these other effects, still very desktop friendly, but they can also take it places to studio sessions, writing sessions, and not have to think about a gigging unit that's built for gigging like quad Cortex is. Like, but in my head, and this isn't an official analogy by any means, but what I see this as like the iPhone of the Cortex lineup, where it can do quite a lot. You can do Word documents on an iPhone at a push, but really you'd use a MacBook to do some proper work, like a QC. But then you've got the iPod Nano, which is what Nano is. It's like your select number of songs that you like, you know, your captures, and Capture 2 out now. But this is like the middle one, and so this is not compromised in any way. You know?
This is the one. I've already said to Ryan at Neural, I'm going to replace my Presonus little interface on my desktop with this, because I'm trying. I can't get on with the lag that I'm getting with some of this. So I want to go down the hardware route, and then what I'm going to probably just do is set this up as like a 4-cable method with my amp as well.
Yeah,
so
you can do all of that.
If I'm using an amp, I'll use this for just reverbs and delays and stuff. Or if I'm just using the computer, I'll just go straight in.
There is tons of routing. If this came out without quad Cortex even in the universe, you'd be like, wow, there's tons of I/O around the back.
Absolutely. So look, let's, again, can't keep saying enough, everything you can do on big Cortex, you can do on MiniCortex and vice versa. And then we'll have a look at how some of the screens are very slightly differently laid out so that it works with the 4 switches rather than the 11 switches. And again, I just love watching how fast John, who's very familiar with this product, can build patches now, and just how much, because it's such a screen-centric product. As long as the screen is the same on the smaller one, it's like no difference.
Same stuff.
Anyway, let's have a listen to something.
Okay.
That was fat.
Nice little trick here that I almost don't want to show because I'm like gatekeeping it. The mini voicer, obviously think like Tim Henson does all the harmony stuff. If you just put the mix on 100 and set it an octave below, that's the kind of timbre of it. Sounds more like a synth, like a sawtooth. Bit nerdy, but people should use that more. That's what that sound is. What else we got?
What he's talking about.
Just digital words.
Okay, digital words, yeah.
This patch, so this is plugs, showing that plugins can be used, and you have tons of them. So All you plugin people, these are the ones that are currently available, more to come. So
I need my little pro tip. When is the John Mayer plugin going native to hardware?
Yeah, that will be quite a time.
Soon, apparently.
Soon, our catchphrase. So this is, we've got a compressor. This is a native QC one. I use the dual compressor on literally everything. But Pliny drive, Wong amp, the amp snob, Pliny cab, Nolly EQ because it's got some different parameters. Fun fact. Pliny chorus and the Wong.
Oh, I had no idea. I do apologise. So, when you're using plugins on the hardware, you can have multiple plugins running in the same chain.
Yep.
I didn't realise that.
A mix and match with native QC stuff. Yeah.
Wow! If you're running the plugins, can you do that, or can you only do that on the hardware?
No, the plugins are the plugins.
Yeah, the plugins are standalone, aren't they?
So that's a reason to spend more money and get
I see. Fine. Carry on, please,
Correct.
Mr. John.
All right, so this is pretty wet, I think.
Chords, man.
Big thanks.
Can I just, by the way, because I know I'll have to answer this question 1,000 times in the comment section. This is my old Shure S7. There is a new generation of these out now. It's by and large the same guitar on the new one, just with some updated hardware and colors. This is amazing, right? What I've done with this S7 is put a Vega trem on it and change the pickups for some Monty's pickups. So I, roughly speaking, 600 quid for the guitar, 200 quid for a trem, 200 to 250 for the pickups, something like that. So what have we done? We spent about £1,000 on the guitar. It's epic.
It's good.
I would strongly suggest looking at the Sire range as either just a great standalone guitar or as a mod shop guitar. This old beast, I've no idea if it's still available in the ESP catalogue. We've had this for ages, but it's a deluxe series EC01FT, so the single pickup, just
perfect.
You know, and we use this with heavy strings drop tuned for when John comes along. That's what this is. Okay,
so that was so yeah. What I do want to show. Let's use this time to talk about what's changed physically, because obviously there's going to be a compromise when you have less foot switches. So let's have a look at your preset. Actually, no. Let's wait for that one because that's fun. So. First preset you open, Brit 2203. It's a very bright kind of Marshall sound. If I just open up Gig View, scrolling up.
Just go back a minute, because for people that aren't familiar, obviously the signal chain is pretty familiar, and the illuminated blocks are the effects that are on right now. But if you can see, I guess you can see on the camera, you've got quite a lot of these blocks that aren't illuminated yet, but they're sort of ready within that patch in the background for you to switch on or off, presumably in this function you're now about to show us.
So I'll keep this quick for the Quad Cortex savvy, but you've got 3 modes of operation with Cortex products. So you'll see at the top, I'm going between scene, stomp, and preset. Preset literally goes between different presets. So you'll see the whole rig may change with the blocks.
So this is whole presets. And this is where I think, generally speaking, with all of these kinds of digital modelers, the general guidance is if you change preset mid-song, it's quite an abrupt change to another sound. So even though some of these units will switch faster than others, it's never really a sense of a seamless switch, is it? No. It's like a boom, you had one sound, now you've got another sound. So actually, if you're just wanting to do a solo boost or something, the general advice is don't change patch. It's use the scene or the stomp mode, which John is about to show you.
Because scenes are really powerful, because it's almost like having a designated human being on every parameter of your rig to turn something in combination, however you set it. So for instance, if you're in scene mode, that just turns on a drive, that turns on that turns on 2 things at once. You've also got access to 2 pages now, as there were 8 foot switches before, now we have 4. In these, you'll see we have our next 4 set of options, whether that's scenes, presets, or stomps. So this can now access other things at once, turn multiple things on. It's like, you know.
And all of these changes will be done in like a less abrupt way than a preset change.
Gapless. So if I just play. Yeah, there's no gap. But if I was in preset mode and I went, there is a gap.
So that's what you don't want to do. Change presets in between songs or where there's an appropriate gap. But yeah.
But if you could physically change that many things in real life and have that little gap, you'd be like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
How did you move those amps that quick? But anyway, side note. So yeah, scenes is what I prefer to use live because it's the most flexible way of running a unit like this. It's really powerful. But if you are a guy with a pedal board, you just want to turn things on and off and assign foot-to-foot switches.
So just, can you show me that scene with the 4 blocks on it? The page, sorry, with the 4 blocks on it.
So gig view is when you swipe
So on the bigger one, you just see 8 of these, I think, don't you?
Yeah, on Core Cortex you see 8. Yeah.
So really it's the same concept, but instead of seeing 8 blocks because you've got 8 foot switches, you see 4 blocks because you've got 4.
And to go between the two, you just hold foot switch B, and then that changes which 4 you're operating with the 4 switches. Yeah.
So that's scenes. If you want to go even simpler than that and just stomp mode, so you're just literally, this turns a pedal on and off, this turns a pedal on and off, that's just the next iteration, right?
Yeah, so you've got 2 ways of doing this. If you want to switch, you know, with a touchscreen, you can just tap the icon at the top, or you just press B and D, and then that changes the mode as well, which is, you know, if you're standing up, you don't want to bend down.
So now, so this is literally just going to turn your wah-wah off. This is going to turn your brick governor pedal on and off. So that's, I suppose, that's your real conventional stomp mode.
Yeah.
I mean, I did that on if we come out of this and go back to, where's the preset I made?
Yeah, so that'll be in your presets.
My preset, that's right. So Blues Dad, that's me. So here's my really simple chain with no noise gates. I don't like noise gates. And I'm in stomp mode at the moment, so you can see which 2 have we assigned. A is doing the first gain stage on and off, and then I think D is doing, it's reverb and delay, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what I wanted was a scene mode, so I think if I go to scenes, I just have 2 scenes. I have like a rhythm scene where it doesn't have the overdrive and the delay pedal engaged, and I have a lead scene where it does. Sorry, I see, so switching between these 2.
Yeah, and obviously if you were gigging, you'd like the most simplest way of viewing that, you could see Rhythm Dad,
Solo Dad.
Solo Dad.
Yes, Solo Dad. There's a lot of people, a lot of solo dads out there these days. Stay strong, brothers. So that's basically, oh man, I'm excited about this. Let's have some more playing just to break it up.
Okay.
Might as well hear this patch.
All right, so am I being rhythm?
You can be Blues Dad.
All right. So, can I play a Les Paul for this?
Yes, of course.
This feels like a
use the gold one. That's a great Les Paul.
So, Blues Dad. We made this a bit off camera earlier. Took 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Not long.
I'm very, very familiar. To be honest with you, it's not just that I'm familiar with Quad Cortex. I'm nowhere near as familiar with it as you are. I'm just familiar now that everything now is really following this sort of style of editing, isn't it? So really, each individual multi-effects unit has its own nuance, but largely speaking, you know, you're used to now seeing chains and pressing buttons and choosing from menus and stuff. So yeah, 100%. This took me like 1 minute to dial in. I didn't do any kind of global EQ or anything like that. It was just like find the amp, find the cab, find a drive, put some reverb and delay on, drop the mix of the reverb and delay because they're always very wet, aren't they? And the sort of boom, there's my sound. Yeah.
So we've got a Fender into a 2x10 kind of, complementary Fender cab, and then compressor at the front, just 87. 2 drives you chose was a Chief BD2, so like a Boss and another Boss, 2 different gain stage, then just round that off, analog delay, good choice, and plate,
It was literally the first one, analog delay. That's how my brain works in digital. It's like, what's the first one? Does it sound all right? Yeah, it sounds fine, go.
My favourite. So. Want to push it just a tiny bit.
Yeah, so I think that's maybe a little dark as well. But you know what? Yeah. This because it was a 1 minute job. Or are you going to show me how quickly I could?
One other new feature. If you prefer to have like a tactile, touch the dials and rotate them, there's this new way of going through parameters because obviously on QC, each foot switch was assigned to a parameter on an amp. Now you've just got these 2. So you can scroll through or you can just tap and turn. And that changes the parameter.
I see.
This changes which one, or you can just tap a number rather, and then you can change it. There's lots of workarounds with the new layout. Anyway, we wanted to increase the volume and gain.
Yeah. I needed the brightness on. That's probably all it needed.
I think that's a Marshall with that sound, but anyway, feels good. So you're scene B.
Yes.
Solo dad. We're bringing in the boss for the analog delay. Nah, I can't squeal on it.
That was a model, wasn't it, rather than a capture? I think as well. I just used a Fender super reverb.
Yeah.
Sorry, what
so
it was.
Yeah, this is all native to QC. I haven't used anything third party, none of my own captures.
I almost feel like that's it, really. You know, it's fair play Neural for. I just think identifying the fact that, I mean, what I think has been surprisingly popular about the big quad Cortex is how much people have chosen that over Helix or
Fractal
Kemper or whatever,
yeah.
Because it's the smaller one. I mean, I'm obviously, without going into all of the, I'm sure there's, Neural will argue features and blah, but just I see a lot of comments of like, I chose that one because it was the smallest one. And I think it's interesting that I think Neural have probably picked up on that and going, wow, if that's the objective is go like small, we could go smaller still.
Yeah.
And you've still got all the processing power, you've still got the screen. I mean, isn't that...
It's exciting.
Yeah, and I think as well, I think you're going to see this used a lot in the way that people started to use Helix Stomp, which was where it was part of a board where perhaps there might be a separate MIDI switcher on there. Maybe you've got your favorite, maybe you've got some beautiful Chandler valve overdrive pedal or one of those amazing Kingsley overdrive pedals with the valves in them. And that's what you want. So you're going to have that, but you're going to use a separate MIDI switcher because maybe the 4 buttons just don't give you quite what you need. But how small is that still going to be? It's going to be tiny.
Yeah, it's got an effects loop on the back. You can still route it, and it's got everything. I mean, there is tons that QC can do and tons that this can do. That if you really want to go on the spec sheet, you can see probably a table somewhere of what this can't do that QC can do. There's still an option for Nano. Nano can be powered without mains. Each one has its own use still. Yeah. But this is really nifty. I'm a big fan.
I really like, and fair play again, whoever's in the design, just the physical design team, this sort of beveled edge around the outside looks fabulous.
Yeah.
All right, well look, I think, Mr. John, if I recap the headlines, it's going to be about 1,100 quid in the UK, and then obviously convert that into your local currency and see what you work out. They're in stock right now, at least they're in stock on Andertons on day one. And yeah, it'll do everything the big one does apart from the physical ins and outs that it doesn't have. Comment below. What do you think? Do you think this is this a better fit for you than the bigger one? Is it something you might want to change your big one for the smaller one? Do you want to have both? Are you still not convinced? Comment below. Set that debate going. I really like it. And John, if you wouldn't mind grabbing whichever guitar you want, playing out, that would be marvelous.